So yeah, I spend about 80% of my time right now traveling all over North America, Middle East. I spend a lot of time in Asia doing manufacturing work, but this is my first time in Europe, so it's great to be here. So yeah, I'm Ian Bernstein. I'm one of the co-founders and creators of Sphero. I'm just kind of curious, like how many people have heard of Sphero before? Cool. All right, for those of you that have heard of Sphero, I hope to give you a little bit more of what Sphero is and what our vision is and where we're going with it. And for those of you that haven't heard of Sphero, well, you'll know what it is soon. So when I was 12, I was homeschooled and was always sort of interested in electronics, and my dad decided, we found out about this robotics competition, and he decided to take me, and we went the first day to sort of check it out. At a workshop where we built little kits, and I built my first robot and just got totally hooked on it. I ended up going every day of the competition, and from then on, that was just sort of my lifelong passion, was robots. So middle and high school, I sat on the internet for 17 hours a day, and I had just piles of circuit boards and other electronics that I ripped apart to build these robots, and I built websites, and that's all I did. So sort of fast forward to 2010, I was working part-time at a robotics company in Colorado, and I was working late one night, and I was working on these humanoid robots, very similar to the one that you may have seen yesterday. And these things are just really hard to use. So even just to get the robot on like your Wi-Fi network, you had to hook your computer up to this robot. You had to open a terminal window and enter all these Unix commands to like set all these configuration files, and that's like just to get it on your network. And then there's programming it, and it's really hard to interact with these, all these robots that I'd been working on. So I thought, well, I was sitting there, and I was using my iPhone at the time, and I was using all these apps. So I was checking my email and playing games and texting, and I thought, well, this is a super powerful computer that I thought, soon everybody would have in their pockets. And you can do all these different things with it. Why can't I use this to create a better experience to control these robots that I had been building since I was 12? And I kept thinking about it. I went home, and I realized that it wasn't just these robots that sort of had a bad experience, but this, for instance, this is a remote control for a brand new Samsung TV, right? This is a 2013 latest and greatest smart TV, and this thing has 113 buttons, right? It's probably going to take you 2 minutes to figure out how to change the input, right? This is today. This is not 20 years ago where you or your dad is trying to program your VCR. Like, this is latest and greatest, and this, these experiences around physical devices suck. It really sucks. So I met my co-founder, and we decided to start a company to build amazing experiences around physical devices. So that's sort of our overall vision, making it easier, making it more fun, and building interactive interfaces for physical devices. So when you start a company, you can do anything you want, anything. But the most important thing when you start a company is to build something that you're passionate about. And we probably could have gotten passionate about building a new interface for a smart TV, but that's not our passion. Our passion was about robots, and it was about gaming. So that's what we decided to build a company around. So this is gaming today. You have physical games. Probably started 3,000 years ago with a ball. You have RC cars and other physical toys, and of course, in about 1972, the first video game consoles came out, and that created a new way to play games. So, you could sit in front of your console, and you sort of had this virtual world that you could explore. So in the physical world, there's something about having something physical. Like, it's hard to explain why physical is better, but there's a reason that I'm just not on Skype right there, and you guys are all watching me on Skype give this presentation, right? Like, there's a reason I spent 15 hours on a plane to get here to talk to you in person. These kids like playing with Legos. There's something as you're holding the Legos in your hand, and you can just sort of feel them click together, and you can hear them click together, and it's just sort of that granularity that you get. And it uses all of your senses. You can hear the other kids like rustling around in the Legos, and there's like smells, and like some of the little kids might be tasting the Legos. And when you play with something physical, you're using your imagination. So, you have your little figurines, and you can watch kids, and they're sort of imagining that their figures are in different worlds and stuff. Whereas in the virtual world, developers create these imaginary levels for you. And there's nothing wrong with the virtual world. It's awesome, right? Like, instead of having to imagine these worlds, they've created them for you, and you can sort of escape your reality. And you can play in these. You can play as a dwarf or a wizard, and you just sort of have these infinite possibilities of things you can do. In this virtual world. So it's really cool. Some companies are trying to get more virtual or more real. So, for instance, like this helicopter is by a company, Silverlit. They've created this iPhone-controlled helicopter, which is really cool, but they're not really adding a whole lot. Like maybe you can tilt your phone to control the helicopter, but they're really not adding a whole lot. And on the virtual side, it started with the Wii. You had the controller in your hand, and you could swing it, and that adds to your senses. That makes it a little bit more physical, but they're not moving too far into the middle. And this middle region is what we call mixed reality. And we think mixed reality is a new type of gaming, where you're taking the best of the physical world and you're taking the best of the virtual world, and we combine those effectively together to create a whole new experience. And we think that's sort of the next revolution in gaming. This is mixed reality, but our developers also like to call it the zone of really hard shit. It's really hard to develop something that effectively takes the physical and the virtual, and we sort of have like a litmus test where when we come up with an app idea for our product, it's like, well, is it really better because we have this physical thing, or could you just play the game on your phone? Or am I just controlling this physical thing, and why don't I just use a $2 remote? Like, why do I need a smartphone? So coming up with something that's effective in that middle zone is really hard. And what we've created to satisfy the virtual and the physical is what we call Sphero. And so Sphero is a robot ball you can control from your smartphone. And you might wonder, why did we make a ball? Like, it seems kind of novel. Like, why didn't we create like a car or a helicopter or something like that? And we actually did prototype a lot of those things. And we thought about like what apps, like what games could we create for, say, a car? Well, you can build you can drive it, you can play a destruction derby game, you can play a racing game, but then it gets harder and harder to come up with different apps for a car. So we came up with the ball idea at 3 a.m. one night, and we sort of did our tests. We listed out all the different apps that we could create for a ball, and it was really a blank slate. Like, there were so many different things that we could come up with. You could have the destruction derby game, you could have the racing game, you could also have like the game of golf, you could have virtual reality, like all kinds of stuff on top of this ball. So that's why we picked that form factor. So if you haven't seen Sphero before, you're probably totally confused. So I'm going to show you a little video of what Sphero is.
An hour of non-stop play with cable-free induction charging. Sphero is iOS and Android compatible with over 20 free games and apps available for download. There are tons of ways that you can play with Sphero, and there's definitely something for everyone. From kids and pets to adults and gadget geeks. You can drive it and build race or obstacle courses. It's even waterproof, so you can take it for a swim. You can pick it up, hold it in your hand, and use it as a controller for games like Exile, which is totally addicting. Sphero is also reinventing the idea of board games, so you can gather friends and family around for tabletop games like Color Grab. If you have more than one Sphero, you can play multiplayer games like tag. Finally, Sphero offers augmented reality games that are unlike any other product.
So let me give you a little bit more depth. So that's Sphero. A little more information. Of course, if we want to bridge reality with the virtual, we have to have something, some sort of mechanical thing. So if you were to take this ball, and it's all sealed, so it's super strong, if you cut it open with a hacksaw, what you would find inside is what sort of looks like a mini Segway inside of a ball. Like there's actually like a couple little rubber wheels in there, and this little robot moves inside around the shell, and as it drives up the shell, it causes the thing to roll. On top of the mechanics, we connect over Bluetooth to your smartphone. We did that because we wanted it super easy to use. So you shake it, that wakes it up, and it connects automatically to my smartphone within 2 seconds, and then I can just open the app, and it's ready to play a game. We also have a 6-axis IMU inside of Sphero, and that gives it a sense of orientation. So it knows where it is in the world. It knows when it's collided with things. And if you pick it up and you hold it and you move it around, it knows how you're interacting with it. One of the important things to have in this system is an API and an SDK. And what that means is it's a set of software tools that allow any of you, in addition to us, to be able to build apps for Sphero, which is the top, which sort of completes this stack. And this has taken us about 2.5 years to put all these pieces together. But what we're left with is this device that can totally change its behavior depending on the software that we're running on it. So, 1 minute you're on the ground playing a racing game, the next you're holding it in your hand. And another cool thing you can do is sort of this augmented reality stuff that I'm going to show you in a minute. And it's not just about gaming. So we've had people like surgeons come to us, and they're like, well, this is an awesome device. Like I can, a patient can hold the Sphero in their hand, and as they're going through physical therapy after their surgery, they can do this motion, right? And the surgeon can, the app can detect what their range of motion is and how fast they're doing it, and all these different parameters. And the app can give feedback to the patient whether they're doing it right, like how slow down, or you need to do 2 more, and all this data can then be sent back to the surgeon, so they know their patients are doing it correctly. Or even a patient may do it wrong, and they might heal faster, and that could give information to the surgeon that maybe their physical therapy, they can improve their techniques. Or we had kids or some students at Colorado School of Mines that built this app where they used Sphero and they connected, using our APIs, Sphero to these kids' wheelchairs, these disabled kids that had muscular dystrophy and some of these other disabilities, and the kids were able to control Sphero with their wheelchair remotes. So these kids that have never been able to play with physical devices before, kids are always playing with these physical things, and they're just stuck in their wheelchairs. They were able to play with Sphero, and that was awesome. They actually got it to work, and it was amazing for these kids and their parents to see this interaction with a real thing that they never had before. And like I mentioned, some augmented reality. So we realized that Sphero was amazing for AR because, unlike any other object, Sphero looks the same from every different angle. So in our algorithms, all we have to do is we have to look for a circle in the image, which is still really hard, but it's a lot easier than any other object that looks different from every other angle. So with this, with the phone, you look at Sphero, and we look for a circle, and we use all the sensors in the ball, everything in this stack, and we're able to track it in real time, and we overlay different 3D characters on top of Sphero. And let me show you what that is.
Today we want to introduce you to something really special we've been working on, and it's called Sharkey the Beaver. We've been working on augmented reality technology for Sphero for over a year now, and we're just about to launch our first game. Sphero augmented reality technology is different than other augmented reality technology in that you don't have to use a printed out marker.
In the past, a lot of augmented reality has been all about introducing external markers into the scene. In the case of Sphero, this marker is a robot.
This AR marker isn't stationary. It isn't on a piece of paper that's stuck on the ground. This AR marker can actually move around and drive around, and you can walk around your entire house and play an augmented reality game.
The reason why Sphero is so special is because we can put this character in your living room and you can move him around and interact with him in the real world, and this has just never been done before.
With the aid of all the extra sensors on the ball, and using the fact that the ball is a real robot, we can actually get a much more robust experience than AR driven purely by vision.
We wanted to make a really simple game that you can pick up, you can have this interactive character in your living room at any time. And we wanted him to have as much personality as Sphero does.
Are you sure you have your driver's license?
He runs around and he really likes to eat cupcakes. So you can flick cupcakes at him, and these cupcakes will actually, fly out from the screen and then actually bounce around on the ground, and the beaver will walk up to them and eat the cupcakes, and he's really cute. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It looks simple because to you, you're used to your brain doing it so effortlessly. But the amount of calculation that goes into converting a two-dimensional image into some understanding of a three-dimensional scene tests the limits of modern hardware.
It's taken a lot of work to bring out a personality in a virtual object that you interact with. And we're really excited to show this off to the entire world so you can start having fun playing with Sharkey as much as we've had making it.
So that's thanks. So that's like some of the new technology we're working on. That's basically this AR gives us another tool to get closer to that true mixed reality experience. The way I look at Sphero is, when you saw like the first video game consoles come out, in the 70s, one of the early consoles was like the Atari 2600, and the games were pretty basic. You had like Pong and Pac-Man and things like that. But these games were really fun, and I think they're still fun, but you can see where we've gone in 30 years in video game consoles. So I look at Sphero as sort of the first in this new sort of mixed reality gaming realm, really. I think it's a totally new way to play games. I think Sphero is really fun. It's one thing to just show you videos and stuff, but I brought a few Spheros, so come find me after, and we'll be messing around in the hallway and actually play these games. That's most of what I got, but I do have like I said, that's where we're going. We want to build more complex platforms and apps. I do have one more thing though. On Fridays in our office, if all our developers and engineers have sort of gotten what they've all their work done for the week, they can sort of hack. We have a Hack Friday. So this is something that came out of one of our Hack Fridays, or a couple of our Hack Fridays from our engineers. And I assure you this is like 100% real, and we're all about fun and gaming, so this is something fun that we did in our office and the video we made.
At Orbotix, we like to think big. Today, I'm happy to announce the newest addition to the Sphero family, Sphero Peacekeeper Edition. Peacekeeper is over 2,500 times larger than the current version of Sphero. It's over 3 feet in diameter and can move faster than most humans can run. While the Peacekeeper can literally crush anything in its path, it's also a great companion. Sphero Peacekeeper Edition has all of the features of the original Sphero. From controller games to driving games, bigger is not only better, it's safer and more fun. And it can still be controlled with all of your favorite applications. The cats love to play with it. Our goal is to raise $1 million. That's a mere 100 Peacekeeper orders. I know many of you are asking, does the world need a $10,000 robotic ball? And our answer is absolutely. You can't imagine the fun that you will be able to have with a 150-pound robotic ball controlled by a smartphone by your side. Sphero Peacekeeper. For safety, for peace, for fun.
All right, so that's the next generation in gaming, and that's what we're working on. You guys, I don't know if we have time for questions or how we're doing that.
Yeah, we have time for questions. Sure.
Yes?
With the Sphero, has it been G tested? Like, how can you hit it with a baseball bat?
Probably not a baseball bat, but we did get a lot of questions on how strong this thing is. So a few of our guys went out to a shooting range and they put it in a skeet shooter. And you can actually find the video on YouTube where they launched it out and like 4 guys unloaded on it with shotguns and then drove it back with the iPhone. So it's pretty strong.
Do you have patents on like the Sphero concept?
Yes. So we have, I don't know how many patents now, but we have a lot of patents on both the mechanical side, how we control it, and on the software side as well.
Any questions to license it? Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely, have been approached by different people about using different parts of the technology. So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely open to that. Yes. So we've been shipping.
Sure, even in Germany.
Yep. So we have about maybe 24 different apps out for it now, different ways to play with it, and we're always coming out with new, we look at it like a game system, so you buy the system and then, maybe you're done with the games today, but, next week a new game is released, so we're always coming out with new things. And the price is, for the small Sphero is $129 US. I don't know.
7 euros.
Okay, 129 euros. Yeah, we've prototyped it, and we've been playing around with it. It's a little bit challenging because essentially you're rolling around on your lens. So, what do you do when we want it to be super strong and waterproof, that having a shield, a bonded shell gives you, but we also, like, when it gets scratched up, like, how do you sort of replace it, or how do you deal with that? So there's some challenges around that, but yeah, we're looking into it.